Hi, everybody. I'm going to go through the slides for you for this week for days 1 and 2. So if you need a little more explanation than just what you see on the slides, first we have our pun for the day. Go to our overview. So these are to show you what you need to do to complete your literary analysis and your art piece. It's been broken into pieces so that to help pace yourself. You can, of course, go faster or take a little more time if you need. So it's just a suggestion. Our goal is to get this all done by next Monday, have them posted on next Monday, and do a gallery walk. You'll need your book that you're doing for this project, as well as the materials that you completed last week. So if you're not finished with those materials, that was the claim and the evidence and the reasoning and context. If you're not finished with those, please finish those up before you move on to this next part. We're going to focus on doing two things, making our creative piece and writing the artist's vision about your creative piece and how it connects to the literary analysis you wrote. So it's a lot like art with an attitude. So day 1, here's your cup of tea. All right, so step 1, you want to go into the material folder and to respond to the personal check-in. This is just to see how everyone's doing. And it looks like, if you look here, we got April 27th to May 1st, the general check-in. All right, so that is optional, but it's just fun to see how people are doing and what they're thinking. I post a little cooking challenge on Friday, so there are responses to that. Next thing you do is step 2, review your claim of your literary analysis you wrote last week. And using that claim, your goal is to create a piece of art that represents your claim. So, for example, you want to consider if your claim was something like a characterization. For example, if your character is timid but becomes braver by the end of the story, how can you show this in your art piece, right? What colors might you use? What might you write in a poem to show change? So there's a variety of ways you can do this. You can do it as a metaphor, like something changing that represents the change that your character goes through, or you can literally show the expressions on their face changing or how they carry their body. I'll show you a couple of examples after this too. If your book teaches that treating others with kindness and compassion can change them for the better, so for example, like in the short story, Thank You, Ma'am, how can you represent that in art, right? So that would have to deal with Roger and how he was treated so kindly by the woman. And how could you show that, or what would you write in a poem or an additional chapter to show how this change continues? Like, how does Roger go on to evolve and change and maybe show compassion himself? All right, so here are a couple examples from last year. So this claim from the book George by Alex Gino, George struggles with people judging her and accepting her for who she is. The tension is mostly resolved when George comes out to her friends and family and she goes to the zoo as Melissa with her best friend. So if you look at this art project to show the change, we have George and Melissa, and it shows different components in the story that took part as George evolved, right? Because it ends going to the zoo where she is herself, is Melissa. At the beginning, it starts at the school, and with the audition for the play Charlotte, where George tries out for the role of Charlotte. So it has all these components. You've got the color behind, and the foreground is in black and white. So there's lots of different ways here that they're showing that how George becomes fully herself as Melissa. The second example, this is The Stars Beneath Our Feet, and the main source of tension for Lolly, the protagonist, is trying to overcome his sadness and find his own path after Germain's death, which is his brother. He does this by building with Legos and spending time with his friends and family. So this is the claim. We look at the art and we see here is, here is Lolly, and he is kind of shadowed, right, to show that it's unclear who he is. And if you look on the left side of the page, it's uncolored, right? It's just black and white. He's walking on this road of Legos, and he's walking towards the color. So how he's kind of overcoming the sadness and finding more of his joy in the world. So that's how it demonstrates it in this piece of art. So you want to choose an art form that you'd like to use to demonstrate your claim. So right now I realize that you don't necessarily have access to all the supplies you usually do. You don't have the stuff from the classroom. So please just do the best with whatever you have available to you. Here are some ideas below, right? You can write an additional chapter or an epilogue. Some people are doing a little prequel. You could do that about one of the characters. You can have a newspaper interview with your character, a series of some poems showing how your character changes or learns a lesson, like a life lesson. That could be a theme. It could be a painting, a drawing, some photography. You can create and perform an original piece of music if you have instruments at home. A sculpture out of pretty much anything you want to use. You can always take a picture of that. Create a part, not an entire graphic novel, but maybe, a strip of a graphic novel. You can design a new book cover. You can create a map of your character's journey. So these are just some ideas, and you are welcome to go beyond those. And today, for your first day, I'd like you to sketch out a rough idea or an outline of what your project will look like or include. So if it's a visual, you would just sketch it out. If you're writing something, you might write an outline or a first draft. And then step 5 is to answer the following questions in our discussion board to let each other know what you're planning to do. And some people have already done this. So what is your claim? What will your project look like? And how will your project represent your claim? So let me show you where you find this in your materials. There's a check-in. Here's the art project plan check-in. So I've already had people post what they're going to do, and I've responded. And you can also look at what other people have for ideas. So it's a really great place. So far, I really love this check-in, group check-in, the best. out of everything on Schoology so far. And that's it for day 1. Day 2 is just a work day. So work on creating the final draft of your art. So spend some more time working on your art. And then I will make another short video for day 3 and day 4. So let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to see what everyone produces, and I will talk to you soon.